Here we go, gentlemen. We are on.
To the Fighters Boys Kick-Ass Podcast. Your Fight Talk Authority. Not to mention the most entertaining and talked about podcast with your kick-ass host, Richard ORTIZ.
You mad? Come at me, bro.
And his loyal kick-ass co-host, Senor Cole Escovedo. Streaming live and worldwide. Coming to you all the way live from a little place somewhere in Cali. The Fighters Boys Kick-Ass Podcast.
I lost you.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're live here. I would say mad productions, but we're still mad at our production. Today, we have some technical difficulties today with our co-host, but nevertheless, we're here on the show. We're about to rock and roll and make this happen. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today, his resume is just crazy, man. I mean, people wanted him from ABC, CBS, NWA, you name it, they wanted him. This man is a photographer, started off in boxing, had a passion for the sport of boxing. His talent alone got picked up for MMA, and his talent later on just slid over to the MMA world. He still loves doing boxing. This man is a podcast guru, constantly has shows. The only man that I know that'll shoot an entire show while in the hot tub without company. Nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the legendary, Mr. Don Mcguire. Welcome to the Fighters Boys, Don. Don, you there? Oh, there you go. There you go.
There he is.
Yeah, I'm here.
And also our co-host with the most, the UFC veteran himself, Mr. Cole Escovedo, is here in studio by way of phone.
Yeah, in studio, it's like a in spirit thing.
There you go. Exactly.
But dude, everyone's got wonky signal today, man. It's the smoke.
It's smoke signals, Don. So Don, how's everything going, my man?
Oh man, it's just going, man. Just keeping it going. Even with the quarantine, I didn't shut down any aspect that perplexes in my life, and I love the sport, so I'm always going to find a way, find an avenue, find something to do. Just like yourself, as you know, I have a show. I've been keeping the show rolling. I've still been doing private seminars and things, trying to just keep my love and my tenacity for the sport where it needs to be. It's been kind of tragic what's happened to the sport, but we're coming back and we're going to be more resilient in the future. The sport's going to come back hard, and we're going to get back to normal real soon.
It's funny you say that. Cole kind of shares the same feelings that you share. Cole, you've seen the sport, skyrocket, and then you've seen it tumble, and now it's kind of like we're just floating in space, man. What's your whole take on where the sport's at today and where it needs to be?
I think Don's pretty spot on as far as where he sees the sport at right now. Realistically, if you don't have like a TV deal, you're not really getting too much traction going on right now. So it's kind of a pigeonhole. It'd be like having a restaurant but not having the means in which to advertise to the public, so no one would know that your restaurant's open, so no one's going to show up. So the same ideology holds true for lower shows right now. If you don't have a TV deal, no one's going to know you're putting on shows, and you can't have live audience, so you can't get any type of viewership for it. So it's hard. You can't get traction that way.
Don, you've always seemed to, in your whole life, take on obstacles. You've never tapped out. You were pretty close. You almost gave a verbal tap. But then you said, nah, son of a bitch, I'm still here in this fight. I'm going to win it. I'm going to survive. And I'm going to reclaim that belt of what you've been doing your entire life, man, competing. Did you hear that, Don?
Nah, but you kind of broke up a little bit, homie.
Okay, I'll say this. You've always managed to continue to move forward no matter what obstacle you faced in life. I mean, just as the sport has. Talk to us about your biggest challenges and where you're at now. I'll say it again, Don.
You froze.
Okay. Cole, how are you listening? Do you hear me, Cole?
I can hear you, but
Okay.
my signal might just be better.
Okay. Don, is that better?
Even then, it's coming in and out.
Yeah, you're coming in and out a little bit, bro. It's
Okay.
like,
Okay. Okay. How's that? Is this a little better now?
a little bit.
Okay. I'll talk a little bit slow. Don, how are you able to stay afloat with this whole coronavirus thing? That seems to be a speed bump with everybody's podcast, everybody's show.
Well, first and foremost, I've always gotten paid in a little wet envelope. So I've created a nice nest egg, nest egg for myself and my family. So it's carried me through this crucial time in life. As you all know, none of us have ever walked. We're walking right now in life or in the sport. And how, through the show, it's kept me invigorated, but it really hasn't satisfied me. I need to be there. I need to be a part of the sport. I need to feel the thickness in the air. I need to feel the veracity of the fighters. There's nothing like fight night. See, a lot of people, they don't realize, I was on death's bed, and it gave me hope. It gave me who I am. The sport was basically a gift from God for me to continue to live, because each and every day I strive to do better. I strive to stand out of the box. And, when I got started in the business, it was 35 millimeter. And so me being 56 years old, I had to reevaluate myself, recorrelate myself, and refocus myself to fit in the newer aspect of the sport, because I'm an old timer. I've been around since '96. So, being able to try to keep up with these kids has given me everything I needed, to move forward. But now with the sport in a standstill, excuse me, it's kind of lost some of my vigor in life. But like Cole was saying, it's coming back. It's going to come back. That's the hope, the unity that I'm holding on to. I was supposed to shoot a fight on the 29th. Unfortunately, the state didn't allow it. But I know I signed a contract that's going to carry me all the way through November right now with a promotion. I can't release the name of that, but it's in the bare knuckle world. And that's going to be a different aspect for me, because that's a road I've never really traveled. I mean, I've dabbled in it a little bit, but being able to be there, fight night come a bare knuckle event, is going to be something extraordinary.
No, I agree with you, man. I mean, we're all making the best that we can with the opportunities that are limited. Cole, whenever you hear bare knuckle, you can't help but think about the one, the only, the great Stitch Duran, who Don Mcguire here is very good, personal friends with him. He's a regular on our show as well. And, let's talk about how even Stitch has reinvented himself throughout this and able to still put on events and still able to get these fighters the sponsorship that they need. So it's a fight in itself. Wouldn't you agree with that, Cole?
Yeah, it's the landscape, I guess you could say, is changing on the regular, especially with the way things are right now. I mean, I don't think anybody would have expected the level of absence of fans in the audience that we would see. It's an unprecedented type of event thing going on. So it's got to change. Everyone's got to change. Like everybody, everything from your cornermen to the promotions to even, corner guys. Like everyone's had to change the way they do things. For, guys like Mcguire here, he's one of his main goals in life is a live event. The less live events there are, the less he can do his craft. So it extends, the art of the extent is like a ripple effect way farther than I think people are realizing. because there is things like UFC on TV. There is things like Bellator on TV. That's because they have the TV deal, so everyone sees these guys on TV. And I don't think they realize the larger scope of things as a whole, as MMA is as a whole right now. Like the UFC is doing great, but everyone else is doing really bad.
Well, I agree and kind of disagree with that because one thing that I'm seeing now, like with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships, and it's unprecedented, they created their own app. They had their event this last weekend. And I see a lot of promotions going to that, but I think it's a tremendous thing, but I think there's also going to be a downside to this. We can see it in everyday life. We can see it in the sport. When you don't have fans there, you don't have all that overhead. So, my fear is that they're going to get used to not having to pay out that overhead, not having to get the ushers, not having to get that insurance, not having to go down those avenues. So I'm looking at fights turning into, even though I hate using this terminology, the new norm, because if it's cost effective for the promoter, where do they draw the line?
Do you think that if that were to happen, do you think that would translate into better pay for fighters among the lower ranked organizations?
Yeah.
I can't.
Go ahead and say that again, Cole.
So what I was saying is, I see where he's going with that. The promoters are going to see an extra revenue stream or a higher revenue stream. But without the fans in the audience, do you think that revenue stream that they're taking from overhead, do you think that'll translate into better purses for the lower tier level fighters? Your AAA level guys?
You guys are breaking up on me. I apologize.
No problem. Basically, I'll kind of jump in there. Even though the main names, the big names, aren't really getting the purses that they're used to, the plus side is it's opening doors for the opening acts, for the prelims. They're getting opportunities they normally don't get, and purses they never get.
Yeah, it's a higher level of exposure right now for them.
Yeah,
that's agreed easily.
Yeah. So, you know what? We're still going to kick ass through this show tonight, and there's nothing going to be like it, especially when you come in studio next time, Don. But I'm not going to make any excuses. We're going to make this happen. What's the biggest challenge besides getting that nice white envelope in your hand? Following your passion and being able to give a platform to these fighters?
Well, it's kind of a personal issue, and I don't speak very much about it, but you go back about 15 years ago, I lost my leg, and I was going to walk away from the sport. I thought the sport was gone. I was told I would never walk again. And you don't tell me no, so my greatest giveaway, give back to the sport and to the fighters and everything, and what I've taken away from all of this is really, I saw the need, I felt the love from the sport, and I realized that I couldn't make excuses because the fighters weren't making excuses. I realized that I had to come back to the sport, and here we sit 15 years later, and people, I've done a couple shows in the past. I generally don't give interviews, but you're my family. So, people ask me, would I change a thing? No, because I became a two-time Hall of Famer after I lost my leg. Some of my greatest work came after I lost my leg, and it was like a rebirth of who I was and how I saw life. And so I would never go back to that. I mean, and then earlier you brought up a reference of me and Stitch. We're known as the Cheech and Chong of MMA. I mean, you can't get any closer to Stitch than I am. I mean, I made a phone call to him once, and he took my phone call right in the middle of filming. And, Stitch has been a brother to me. And he's a two-time show sponsor too. And the thing about it is, I knew something that you didn't even know. See, a lot of people ask me, how could you be in the middle of the Midwest and know something that, we're right here and we don't even know?
Wait, hold on, Don. I called your ass, though, that night. Remember? I called you.
Yeah.
I called you, and I go, you called that shit. I go, you told me you know, and I called you and I said, you were right. So I called you on it. I stood corrected on that. So I remember that. Hey, go ahead and share that. I remember you told me, and I go, no, I'm not too sure, because I know Robert Garcia's corner, and I know usually who's in his corner. And when you told me that, I was thinking that'd be one big add-on to the corner. And yeah, you were right on that.
You froze on me again, homie. There you go.
Oh.
I couldn't hear the last part of that, man.
I was giving reference. I remember we talked about that. And then we ended up, you said, hey, isn't Stitch Duran in the corner of a certain fighter? And I said, okay, well, that's Robert Garcia's fighter. I think he has his own cut man. And he go, no, I'm kind of thinking he's in there. And I go, no, I don't think so. Lo and behold, I'm watching the fight. Who do I see in the corner?
Stitch.
Exactly. Who's the first person I call? I think it was like 11:30. I don't know. I called Don and I said, you were right. I said, you mother effer, you were right. That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, you did, bro.
Yeah.
You know, that's this funny thing. You know, it's a blessing to be part of the 1% of the sport. I mean, the brotherhood, the knowledge, and that we, you know, the passion that we all exude with each other it's trust. You know, and that's what I want people that are getting into the sport, people that are already into the sport, whether it be boxing, Muay Thai, MMA, bare knuckle, take away from the relationships, take away the fulfillment and getting to know people and understanding people, you know, because everybody wants you to think that everybody's enemies. You know, you watch TV and they think, oh, they got this beef with each other. But in reality, you go 12 rounds with somebody, you go 7 rounds with somebody, you go 5 rounds with somebody, you got the greatest respect in the world for that person. Even if you walked into the cage, the ring, the mat, whatever, you know, have an animosity with that person, you walk away with a brother for life. You know, there's a very minute aspect of the sport that doesn't. But, you know, I've interviewed thousands and thousands and thousands of fighters. And I got to tell you, you know, you ask them what is the most relevant part of their aspect in the sport, and they're going to say the relationships, the brotherhood, and the sisterhoods that have been created.
Cole, you could definitely identify with that. I mean, you've had some, you know, it was before fights, and you guys left, and you guys got relationships that are still strong today. Would you agree with that assessment made by Don?
Oh yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's just there's something about doing competitive sports at that type of level, like a combat sport level, against another person, like essentially a stranger, you know, and then to be able to walk away later, you almost know that person better. It's weird. It's hard to explain. Like, you find a guy and you know that guy better than you did before, even though he was a stranger, but you and that type of person he is. The relationships you build at the gyms and stuff, same thing. Those are things that where you get all kinds of people from all kinds of walks of life. Like Fight Club. Take the movie Fight Club, for example. You know, nobody talks about Fight Club, but it's got people from all different walks of life, and they all come together for a sole purpose together. There's a common goal. And that's what he's talking about, is you make relationships with people that you might not have ever interacted with outside of that gym. You just don't walk in those circles. And you're now buddies with them because you guys train together and you sweat and you bleed together. It builds bonds and stuff that you're not going to get at a 9 to 5, I guess would be the way to say it.
Well, yeah, we always say you share blood, you become blood.
Yeah.
No, very well said. You know, there's also a respect, fighter among fighter. Let's talk about the respect and also non-respect with social media. Well, I don't say social media, but with media, different outlets, different platforms. You have some that may hate on others. You may have some that may compete against others. And there's some that at the end of the day, there's respect. And there's some that they don't know anything about respect. What's your take on that, Don?
Yeah. Well, the media business, man, I'm going to tell you, this is the fight business.
Yeah.
You and I know that personally. You know, I did a show. I'm not going to mention the show. I did a show a while back, and they basically had attacked you, and, you know, they didn't know that I knew you as well as I do, so it was kind of like, you know, you're barking up the wrong tree. You know, real recognize real. And, I'm transparent in life. The first thing I did was I let you know what's up because I roll that way. If I'm going to say something behind your back, I'm going to say it to your face. That's the way I've always been in the sport. But media, I go at it a different approach than most people. I've thrown Colby Covington off my show. I've thrown Tyron Woodley off my show. I'm not going to have certain aspects perplexed in my life. I'm a firm believer in you respect your opponent, you respect the sport, and you respect my listeners. And a lot of times, like you do a show and the guest doesn't show up. Well, you know what? I'm not disappointed in me. I'm disappointed in them because they didn't let me down. They let their fans down. Their fans are tuning in to hear them. So if you don't show up for a show, that's on you. And the way media goes about things, it's so cutthroat. I mean, I do this show. I make $0 off it. My sponsors pay my studio costs. I make no money. So I do it out of the pure love, my heart, and the enjoyment. And these fighters thank me, but in reality, it's me who needs to thank the fighters because I sit back. I just had my 500th episode, and as the fighters was, and I tell you, I had nothing but legends. I didn't have to ask a guest one to come on. I had people from the inception of MMA, boxing, and Muay Thai hit me up in the first 20 minutes asking could they be a guest on my show. And people say, well, how do you rate? And media attacks me on those variances, but they don't understand that I'm a photographer in the sport. I've shot these people. I've broken bread with these people. And I know them every day in life. We talk on the phone just like we do on a show. So there's that hate level that's there that you can't get rid of. You can't walk away from it. And the sad part about life is it's going to be what it's going to be. I earned the right to have the guests that I have. I earned the right to be where I'm at. Like you seen, I went to Clackamas, Oregon last year for the return of 2-pound Steve Forbes. I did some pictures at the fight. I did interviews. I did commentary. Those are people that are part of my life, that have been a part of my life. And to be able to come back to the return of the former IBF world champion, I mean, it was a 32-hour drive because I don't like to fly, but it was tremendous. Then you look at Paul Vaden, and, me and you still going to get together to do a show with Livingstone Bramble, homie, because I think a lot of people don't pay or give enough attention to the sport of boxing of old. I think they seem to overlook the path that created them.
No, I agree. I agree with you on a lot of notes there. And the main thing is, first of all, I appreciate that. During that time we had a conversation, and someone lit us up. Cole, I shared with you briefly. And the thing about it is, when I was tagging people today, here's the bottom line. I don't even know if I tagged them. You know why? Because I don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just we're going to continue to do what we're doing. And, I know who they are personally, and we reached out to try to help. But a person like that, you just can't help because they need to help themselves to just check themselves. Nevertheless, we're moving on. But, Cole, we've done with that. I mean, as we came into Fresno and I would say took over the area. I mean, we started from the ground up. We're still working our way. Wouldn't you agree with that, Cole?
Yeah, I would say for us to think that we've reached a certain point to where we can't improve or grow or anything would be silly. I think we're fully aware that we started from a real small, expectation and grew it into something that, we've been able to keep consistent and stuff. So, yeah, I would say we've got room to grow, but we've definitely expanded ourselves more. And when we did that, we had people that weren't happy about it or would downplay us. And, like you said, it's going to happen. It's just going to happen. Just like when you get a good guy that's a good fighter, people will say, oh, he's just this or he's just that. Maybe, but time tells. And we just kept staying consistent, So that's really, I don't know, man. You know my opinion on that, dude. I've never really paid too much time to people that hate and want to talk down to whatever it is I'm doing. It doesn't really bother me. There's always going to be negative criticism, and I don't mind constructive criticism, but there's a difference between constructive and just negative, negative feedback. It's just like, well, you're not even giving me anything there that I can work with in order to improve or to change that. You just don't like it because you just don't like it because it's better than what you're doing. And I can understand that, but at the same time, I don't really waste too much energy on it because it's not going to help me grow. It's not going to help the show grow, and that's it. Yeah, no, why waste time on seeds that won't grow?
Exactly.
Yeah, can I add something to that real quick? It never goes away either, bro. I've been doing a show for 17 years. And, one time somebody told me, let your haters be your motivators. I said, bro, I heard that years ago. You know what? There comes a point in time where it just gets old. I've been doing my show for 17 years, and they still hate on me today like they did on day one. So I just overlook it.
Yeah, and I think that's really the only thing you can do, because otherwise you're just spending energy on negative stuff. That's just silly.
Well,
hey, I wouldn't be on this show. I wouldn't be on this show if y'all weren't doing it right.
That's right. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. At the end of the day, they're going to have your namesayers, and enough about them. I don't even want to give them any attention. Like I said, I was keeping it real. I was tagging people today, and I might have tagged them, I might have not. I don't know who they are, and I can care less.
Dude, hey, speaking of keeping it real, dude, yeah. You know who's keeping it real right now?
Who's that?
Poirier. Dustin Poirier. Dude, he straight is out of the Ferguson fight because they wouldn't come to an agreement on pay. Basically, he says, no, you're not compensating me enough. So he's dipped. He walked. So they're scrambling. Like, that's a dude that finally did something about it. Like, as far as the fighter pay goes, he's like, no, you guys are going to make fucking bank off me on this fight. Why am I just going to give it away for pennies? So I don't think that's going to bone him in the long run. I think this is actually going to turn out to work in his benefit. But that's a dude right there. Perfect example of keeping it real. He straight up said, no, you're not paying me enough for this fight. And even Ferguson's even lobbying for him. Ferguson's like, dude, can you guys just pay him what he's asking so we can fight already? Like, this is a good fight to have. So it's like, I mean, I know Ferguson's not going to give up his purse because that would be silly, but it's got to that point now to where fighters are, this is the long-term ripple effect we're seeing from Conor. Conor came into the scene like a goddamn wrecking ball and set like this precedent of unexpected pay and ridiculous expectations from fighters. And now fighters are starting to say, dude, yeah, we kind of do deserve some of that. We do deserve to be living in like $250,000 houses. It's like we do deserve to be driving like 2 cars, like all this stuff. The big name guys, even the mid-tier guys that are, building the rest of the card, like those dudes need to be getting taken care of. And now guys like Poirier are seeing that. And they're making a stand because realistically, what's going to happen? The UFC doesn't offer him another fight? Fuck it, he rides out his contract, or Bellator buys him out, and he goes over there and fights someone else. Like, there's so many guys that he could go and fight. Mike Chandler alone's a free agent. We'll probably see him in the UFC soon. If they pay. If not, he's in a perfect position. It's all about leverage. You have to bring the leverage. You have to be that guy. Poirier is not some mid-tier guy with, like, a losing record. You can't come into it like that and be like, oh, no, pay me, bitch. No, they're going to tell you to go sit down. But you get a guy that knows his worth and actually dominates and stuff on certain things. Yeah, Poirier's got a good point.
No, I agree. He had to take a stand. He didn't settle. Don, I want your take on this. Talking about not settling. I mean, you know as well as I know. I mean, as soon as Canelo signed that huge, obese contract with DAZN, you just knew it wasn't going to be a happy ending. Whether it was for the fans, the investors, or even Canelo maybe getting beat early in that contract, which didn't happen. Now he's suing not only DAZN, but Oscar De La Hoya. Do you think he's going to smile all the way to the bank when it's set and clear? Maybe sign on with somebody else after they settle out? But at the end of the day, he already missed 2 key dates, Cinco de Mayo in September. And he usually banks on those dates. Can you hear me now, Don? Don, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You froze for a second. Yeah, I think he's going to laugh all the way to the bank. I really do think he's going to laugh all the way to the bank because, you look at, you got ESPN, you got other affiliates that are the new era of the sport is going to app-based. So when you have that type of precursor in the sport, it gives the fighters multiple lanes, multiple avenues, and multiple choices. I think, anybody, they could say whatever they want about Canelo, but I think he's a smart man. To answer your question, I think he's going to want to follow with it, Bank.
Well, now, you got to remember what he's suing them for. He's suing them for a breach of contract because they owe him 2 fights per year, I think was the negotiated stance on it at X $1 million.
Yes.
Both those fight dates that he missed, both Cinco de Mayo and September, the reason he missed them were due to conditions and parameters outside of the promoter's control. The promoter couldn't put on a show, and this is what I think De La Hoya's lawyers and DAZN's lawyers are going to say, is that we would have offered him fights, but we couldn't. We weren't allowed to. We couldn't find a venue that secured the safety of both the fighters and the staff and the fans, and we knew we couldn't guarantee that. So, of course, we didn't offer him 2 fights. This is like an act of God almost, is what they're going to claim, is that a disease or a pandemic is almost an act of God. I don't think a judge, because there's no way it's going to go to a jury, it'll end up being a judge, but I don't see a judge ruling in Canelo's favor with COVID the way it is. It shut everyone down. There was a point to where nobody could even do shows, so it was beyond their control. So UFC is the only one really doing shows. So a couple like Top Rank and a couple other guys are just barely starting to do it. So now if Canelo could turn around and prove that another promotion offered DAZN and offered Golden Boy to use one of his fights on his contract on their show that had sanctioning somewhere, then maybe he has a case if they turned it down, because at that point they prevented him from using one of his fights and getting paid. But I don't think that happened because, again, nobody was doing shows. So the COVID-19, I think it's going to be pretty much a saving grace for them on this, because nobody was able to do shows. You can't force a promotion to do a show for conditions beyond the safety of everyone involved and then get mad when they don't do it. So I think he's going to sue, but I think he's going to end up losing. I don't think they'll pay him a penny on this one.
That's a good point. That's one side that of the coin that people are going to use, because it does exist. What's your take on that, Don?
Bro, honestly, I'm having a hard time hearing. I don't know if it's on my end or your end, or
it's the sky.
It's the sky. We'll blame. I don't want to. We'll blame the coronavirus. No, what we're saying is, due to the fact, because of the coronavirus, Golden Boy and DAZN are unable to offer Canelo those fights in his contract. What's your comment on that?
I'm sorry, homie. I can't hear. I don't know if it's my connection or.
Okay, but just
it's the internet over the air right now. The sky is just horrible in California right now.
Just go ahead and jump in as you want. I think I can't even really comment on that, Cole. Honestly, I want to, and I don't want to get it wrong, only because of my relationship with Golden Boy. But at the same time, what can you do because of the coronavirus? Although I will slip this in, before the coronavirus, they missed an opportunity to have him build last May. So that's as far as I'll go on that lead.
Now, that may be what he's suing for. So, too, like I said, I don't know the specifics of the lawsuit. So he may be suing them for fights last year that were promised that never materialized, which were in their control. So, I mean, this is an assumption based on the fact of him suing them for fights this year, which I don't know if that's 100% accurate or not. So my opinion could be totally flaccid just based on the fact that I'm basing it on an assumption of fights this year. So if there were fights for last year that didn't materialize, that's different. But, I mean, at the same time, though, if it's for fights this year, I can't imagine that Canelo's lawyers are cheap. So to sue DAZN and De La Hoya, they'd have to have in their mind a pretty solid case. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they might have ground. So like I said, if it sounds like it might be based on fights last year that were supposed to materialize. Yeah. But if it's based on fights this year, I just don't see how they could expect the organization to put on fights during COVID and be able to sue them when it doesn't materialize. So I'm not sure.
No,
there's some variables there.
No, I agree. You made some good valid points there. Don, are you still with us, buddy?
I think he's just having a hard time getting a connection. He's out of state, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. But
that's the thing. If he's out of state and getting through to California right now might be the challenge.
I'll try to relog in again, and then we're going to continue to go and.
But while we're trying to reconnect Don, though, we can go over a couple of results that we had this over the weekend because Bellator
please do.
going over the weekend. So while we're trying to re-kick Mr. Mcguire there, over the weekend we had Bellator 245 and 246. So we had a Davis Machito rematch. That went down in Davis's favor on this one. You want a split decision. I heard it wasn't really all bad. It didn't really was more of a lackluster fight. Kate Zingano, she's been one that I was curious was going to do once she left the UFC because this was her debut.
That's right.
She got a decision win, which a unanimous decision win. It's still a decision win. A decision win isn't how you want to start off your debut with a new organization. You got to give them a little better, I think, than that.
You always want to come in with fireworks.
And what?
You always want to come in with fireworks and impress your new boss.
Yeah, you definitely want to come in and show them that it's a well investment on their end, that they're not getting boned by picking you up. So another Bellator debut on the card was Taylor Johnson. He won with not just a heel hook, but an inverted heel hook. So that's not easy to do. That's upside down, belly down kind of thing is what you're looking at there. But he got a Bellator debut W as well. The next card on the 12th, Bellator 246, we saw a mix-up between Archuleta and Mix. That was a unanimous decision win for Archuleta as well. But that moves him up to, that's Mix. Moves him up to 25-2, and that's a second win in a row for him. So he's going on some momentum. He's been kind of on a up and down roller coaster lately. That is the first loss for Mix, his opponent, though. That's the first loss of his career. But at the same time, he hasn't fought since December, I think, of last year. Yeah. So that you have to consider as a possible factor for him going in there on that, too. Also on the card, we saw Gracie fight Fitch, John Fitch. John Fitch lost by heel hook from Gracie, which isn't that surprising. Not that John Fitch doesn't have good ground, but it's a Gracie. Those guys are maniacs. So Fitch actually retired after this. He announced his official retirement, so we're seeing a couple AKA guys kind of walk away from the scene lately. So Fitch has been at it for a while. I think he decided this was about his time to walk away. Let's see. Karamuchi, she had a WBC Bellator debut. She's another UFC let go. She had a Bellator debut. She picked up a W off that as well. So a couple people having Bellator debuts, getting Ws. Not necessarily in the most exciting fashion, but hey, wins are wins. Other than that, there wasn't much else going on this weekend. I mean, Connor being Connor, getting accused of some stuff. We'll have to wait to see what happens with that. Him and his lawyer claimed full innocence on this one, so we'll see what materializes by that. Because you got to remember the terms for sexual battery and sexual assault, they vary like country to country. So what we see as sexual assault and sexual battery in the US, he went out without a shirt on or walking around in a Speedo, and that's a sexual battery there because people have to see it, so you're offending them. So that could be, I don't know, but it's fucking Conor McGregor, so you never know.
Or it could be, hey, Connor, I want to take a picture with you, and Connor puts his arm around her and gives her a kiss on the cheek and walks away, and he happened to be wearing a Speedo. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So it could be something weird. You know, that's why Keanu Reeves never hugs anyone.
Exactly. Hey, welcome back, Don.
We got Don?
Well, the picture's there. We'll keep working on that.
Okay, cool. It's a work in progress. So we got video. Outside of that, not much else. We've got UFC Fight Night 178 coming up this weekend. Covington and Woodley. I'm actually going with Woodley. Woodley's on a stay alive status at this point. He's on a 0-2 streak right now. He's lost his last 2 in a row. So I think he needs a W to stay alive right now in this organization, or he might move on. Plus, Covington's chin, the last fight he had, got his jaw broken.
Yeah.
So the dude's got a chin, but he just had it broken. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. You get your jaw broken, the chances of you getting knocked out have just fucking magnified. Like, really, it's magnified. It's simple science, physiological science at this point. So I see Woodley with the win on a knockout on this one. And then Cerrone's back at it. He's fighting Price. Dude, Cerrone's been on a 4-fight lose streak. The Conor one was the 3rd fight in a row, and I think he just lost a decision. So he needs to get a W, and I think the level of competition that Price has faced gives Cerrone that opportunity. I think Cerrone can get out the win just based on his level of dangerousness. Dangerousness, that's not even a word.
Well, you made it a word.
Threat. So I think Cerrone on this one, plus Cerrone really needs a win. So I think he's going to feel a little pressure. I honestly thought he was going to retire after the Conor loss.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be it. So I love watching him fight, but I think he might be. This is 4 in a row. That's a lot.
Yeah,
At this stage in his career. And this isn't me saying Cerrone should retire. I'm just saying at one point you do need to take an objective look at your career and where it's at and what stage it's at and be realistic with it.
Exactly. Hey, Don, are you able to copy anything, Don? Don? Because we can hear you talk. If you can hear me, man, make a statement, my man. I like Don's expressions. He reminds me of me when shit don't go right. KP's probably going, yep, exactly. Well, you know what? Technical difficulties are what it is. And, I got to apologize for that, too, because if we were in studio, he'd be calling in and we'd have no problem. But, I don't want to give it too much attention, but the pain in my leg was just unbearable. Did a show last night, and we had Jamal Semper Fi Herring on the show. And 30 minutes in, man, I was in some crazy pain, but this guy was just spilling. It was a great interview, Cole. I'm not saying that because I did it. It's just you're as good as your guests. And he felt comfortable. He addressed a lot of heads-up questions. He got questions from the who's who, respectively, in boxing. And he let us all know and let the fighter's voice know as well. You're going to hear it first. So he's definitely somebody we want to have back that supports us and want to continue to support him. Hey, Don, you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here. Is it my connection or is it just the site?
I think it's California, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys are in all the fires.
We got horrible signal in this.
We got the fires, we got the liars, and we got the new ones that just been hires. But I'll tell you what, Don, make a statement right now for the fighter's voice because we can hear you, brother.
I just want to thank the fans, the fighters, everything. Because I plan on making this announcement on your show, and a lot of people don't know that, and not even you knew this, but as of today, I'm resigning from shooting in the sport. I'm going to take a step away and walk into retirement. To me, it's better to go out on top than to go out an afterthought. And I just want to thank all the promoters, all the fighters, all the fans, all the inner workings of each and every promotion that I've ever had my hands in. I just want to thank each and every one of them for giving me 24 tremendous years of my life. It's been great, but I'm 56 years old. And I think that it's time for me, like I said, just to step away on top instead of an afterthought.
Not a bad approach, brother.
Wow. I'm taken back by it. I've studied your career since we started talking, and your camera lens, and even the first one actually should be inducted into the Hall of Fame itself, and just be there as a landmark for fans to know that device have given everybody memories, pictures, just everything you've captured in there, because exactly those special moments, because you've captured life behind the lens. And that's how you made your name and your opportunity, and it paved the way. Because I didn't know you started off boxing and then MMA picked up because of your talent, and you just ran with the desire that you had for combat sports, Don.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't know I'm originally from Sacramento, and I used to hang around Pete Ranzani, Loreno Garza, Tony the Tiger Lopez. And there was a little snot-nosed kid that used to run around with us that followed us everywhere, and his name was Diego Chico Corrales. And that's right. We all know where he ended up. We all know where he ended up in the sport. Yep. It's a true blessing. One of the greatest moments in my boxing career, in that aspect, was when James Lights Out Tony gave me the moniker of Dandy Don. Didn't really like the nickname. Didn't really like it. But when James Lights Out Tony gives you a moniker, you live with it, you accept it with pride, and I'll forever always be grateful to James Toney, the sport of boxing. I'm going to continue to share him on my show, as it's the future, of where I'm going with who I am. I just think that after 3 back surgeries, being inducted in the Hall of Fame twice, and going from shooting 42 weeks a year to 32 down to 20 something a year, it's just time for me to focus on life and give the fighters a greater voice. As people don't know the story, they know you're the fighter's voice and I'm the fighter's voice with Don Mcguire, and I think that's one of the greatest aspects that's ever perplexed in the sport, because at a certain time we didn't know each other. We talked and we understood what the value of each show meant, and even though the names were the same, but it's not about us, man. It's about the fighters. Yep. And that's what we're here for. We're here to give the fighters a voice. And even though we have the same name, we still roll the same blood. We still respect the same people. I have no animosity. Me and you, when we first met, we talked. I understood the story of why you took the show, the name of the fighter's voice, and thumbs up for Richie, bruh. Anybody that would disrespect that is a fool. And like I told you on the phone when we first met, you know what? I can't do nothing about that, man. You be you, and I'm gonna be me, because what you're doing it for is a lot more important than what I'm doing it for. You're doing it for your blood. You're doing it for your family. And it's what keeps you motivated. It keeps you going. And even though we cross paths, we never had a word of ill animosity towards each other. We share the same world, but we don't disrespect each other. And see, that's something the sport needs to learn and realize. And a lot of these media guys need to learn and realize that we can all come together, because it's for the betterment of the sport. And it never has been about you. It has been about Richie, and I love that, and God bless you for that. But other than that, it's not about us, man. We're here to do a service and to give the fighters the best interviews and make them look as good as we possibly can, and tell their stories truthful, and let them share a side of them that you don't get to see on TV or on social media. And I love being a part of the fighter's voice conjoined with you, because together, man, we can rule the world, dog.
I agree with you, brother. I agree with you, man. I mean, very class act statement, brother. That's even the right phrase. But since I've talked to you since day one, and I spoke to Cole about the conversation we had, and we always kept the class. I do want to say this, my man. So we're talking about you being raised in Sacramento, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we all know who's going to shock the world next. And I'm talking about the opportunity given to this man. He's been waiting. The stage is set. The opportunity's there. They're falling in place. Cole got a part in it as far as the management type. And we're talking about the beast. I don't want to say the beast is back. The beast is on the attack. And you're going to see that take place on the undercard of Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. Give us your whole take on your relationship with Blake the Beast, Don, and where you see this fight going and what's it going to do for his career.
Oh, man, now you're touching on my heartstrings, bro. Blake the Beast McKernan, a true warrior, man, a true brother, a tremendous man that not only fought for our country, but stepped it up in the sport at a later age and proved to many that he's multifaceted, multi-talented. He's going to go in there against Badu Jack, and he's going to shock the world, bro. Sitting at 13-0, got one of the best left hooks I've seen in the business at that young age. I think he's going to be the pride of California. I think he's going to shock the world, and and knock out Badu Jack. I don't even think he's going to go past the 4th round, bro. To be quite honest with you, I think he's going to represent California with pride.
Right
Yeah,
on.
Blake's definitely going to come out and try to make a statement. He doesn't want any question, any doubt, anybody to think, oh, this was a one-off. He wants everybody to realize that he has done what he needs to do to take it to the next level is what he wants to go out there and show. He'd rather get it done. If it takes 10 rounds, he'll do it in 10. If he can get it done in 1, he'll do it in 1. Like, he genuinely wants to go out there and show everybody that he has been working his ass off, and he's just, this isn't a one-off for him. This isn't like, oh, hey, get the spotlight and a dip. This is, I want to bang back into the scene. I want to explode back in, and a guy like Badu Jack is literally like the right opponent to do that with, just because of the notoriety that Badu Jack has and the type of level of experience that he brings. It's actually a perfect test for Blake to take and show everybody, hey, I was just taking a vacay. I don't know what you guys thought of me, but I was just on a vacay. So that's the plan.
Don,
One thing. Can I jump in here real quick? One thing I want to add to that. One thing I want to add to that is, see, many people don't know that I've been interviewing Blake the Beast McKernan since the beginning of Blake the Beast McKernan's career. And, you know, a lot of people say, you know, why does Blake tag your page all the time? The only reason Blake tags my page all the time is because we go back to that family scenario. You know, I've been there since day one, and I'm going to be there till the last day. You know, I might be 90 years old on his last day, but I'm still going to be there because I'm always representing California. And Blake the Beast McKernan, superstar, baby, superstar.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
People just don't know it yet. That's all.
Hey, can I bring up one more fighter? Can I bring up one more fighter real quick? And I didn't mean to cut you off, Cole. But another talent that Californians and the rest of the world are going to be taking notice, who did sign with the Zone, did sign with Golden Boy, is Victor Morales Jr.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The Tornado, El Tornado. Yep.
Yeah.
Victor Morales
That's my boy. We sponsor him through a subsidiary company, through one of our sponsors. I saw him fight out there in Clackamas, Oregon, on the return of 2-pound Steve Forbes. And I got to tell you, man, I give out Fight of the Night bonus, and I had to give it to Victor Morales Jr. I'd seen the kid fight plenty of times. That was one of the main reasons why I wanted to go out there. I've never seen a young prodigy. You know, and a lot of people say, well, how did he get where he got? Well, you know, you got to look at the whole career. He had probably one of the longest amateur careers of any boxer I've ever met. And it was kind of a downside to that story. He fell one day short of being part of the Olympic team. His birthday was one day too late. And, but he stayed an amateur for 12 years, and then he got into the pro ranks, remains undefeated. You know, the kid is smoked. You know, that's the future of the sport right there, too. You know, you put Blake the Beast McKernan and Victor Morales Jr. together, California's got two of the top prodigies in the market right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I agree with you. I posted a picture of Victor this morning. Both him and his father, very kind people, along with their wife and their family. And if you get Victor's dad talking about some classic cars, man, you're talking about a 3-hour conversation easily.
You know, and another kid that you guys got out there, he's a little bit, he's down, I think, in Modesto Merced, is Chiquito Hero, man. Chiquito Hero under Jesus Hero, that kid's fire. He just turned pro, got his first fight in Tijuana, Mexico. Man, y'all are killing it in the boxing scene with these young up-and-comers, bro. I'm telling you. You know, California doesn't realize how much talent they got in the boxing world.
Right?
Well, I mean, KP, to tell you, we've been trying to soak it up, man. And with Cole here, we try to balance it out, too, with all the talent we have in the MMA world as well. It's a little different sport when it's MMA and boxing because of the opportunities that come. But California definitely is the pool of talent. Well,
you want to jump in the MMA world, man. another individual that I've interviewed for the last 4.5 years, Juan the Spaniard Archuleta, just stepped up in Bellator MMA and won the bantamweight world title. I mean, he set a 12-0 patchy on us. You know, he pretty much taught him a clinic. You know, he's from the high desert. You know,
You watched the fight, right? So you saw Patchy lose. You know Patchy hasn't fought in almost a year, so do you think that played a factor at all?
I think he was going to lose either way, to be quite honest with you. Juan Archuleta, man. I mean, you see, people don't understand that Juan Archuleta, before he even stepped into Bellator, was a 4-time division champ, 7-time world champion. He holds a 25-2 record in MMA. You know, that's unheard of. It's virtually unheard of.
It's a solid record, man.
Yeah, you know, the rise of the Spaniard.
What kept him from finishing Mixie?
What was that, brother?
What do you think, because he won a unanimous decision, what do you think kept him from actually finishing off Patchy?
I think, you know, to be quite honest, I think Juan underestimated his jiu-jitsu, Patchy's jiu-jitsu. Patchy really owned the first 2 rounds. I think he underestimated it. I think he thought he was going to be able to overpower him with his wrestling ability. You know, but I don't want to take nothing away from Patchy. You know, Patchy went in there against a seasoned veteran, a seasoned previous world champion. You know, Patchy's going to be one of the greatest, you know, young and up-and-coming fighters in the mixed martial arts world, too, because you don't just go in there with someone like Juan Archuleta and take it to a decision. You know, the kid's got talent. You know, I honestly thought he was going to finish him off. I spoke with Dean Lassiter the other night, and I think it was in the 2nd round. Patchy actually had the choke, but didn't realize it and repositioned his arm, and when he did, Archuleta caught it and was able to stand up. So the fight, that's what I try to tell people. A fight can go any way. It doesn't matter what your record is, because I've seen some of the greatest world champions walk in and get beat by slouches, you know. So, but I was rooting for Archuleta that night. You know, I admit, as a journalist, I'm not supposed to be biased, but when you interview somebody from the beginning of their career, it's kind of hard not to be, bro.
It is.
Yeah, you get a little bit of investment into them because you see them succeeding at what they love doing. It's hard not to feel happy for them.
Yeah. You know, I know it's not good to mix politics and sports, but do both of you mind if I ask you guys a personal thought, because it's something that's been eating at my heart? Well, you look at Leslie Smith. You know, at the end of her fight, she put on a shirt that said, "Arrest the police that murdered Breonna Taylor." And I've been in this sport 24 years. I do not think politics should be evolved into the sport. I don't think the promotion knew about it. If they did, shame on them. But I know Bellator, and I know Bellator doesn't rock that way. She put the shirt on after she won the fight. Where it goes, I don't know, but I think it's something that needs to stay out of the sport.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because, like, I treat MMA and people spreading their personal politics. Here's the thing. Do we think they should do it? No, but at the same time, we're giving them a public platform to entertain us. So it's hard to really pigeonhole them from their personal beliefs. If they are given a platform in which to voice those beliefs, we're already giving them the platform to entertain us. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, we want them to be there to entertain us because that's what we're watching. But at the same time, you almost got to take whatever their personal opinion is. Like, take Colby Covington, for example. People hate that dude when he talks. But the UFC still uses him because, A, he's a good fighter, and B, he puts asses in seats. I mean, technically it's streams now, but he puts asses in seats. So they don't really care what his political beliefs are. I mean, you can't. They just care about whether or not he's a good and entertaining fighter. So I imagine Bellator has probably asked fighters not to do that. But at the same time, I don't think they would ever restrict anyone. It almost be like censoring literature. You read literature for entertainment. You can't start censoring it because some of the stuff that's in it doesn't, it offends you or something. So I think they're kind of taking the neutral stand on it. I think they might have known about it, but said, hey, it is what it is. We can't control what the personal politics is you want to spread, because you can't take anyone's personal belief and attach it to Bellator right away. That would be, but people do it all the time. They do it to the UFC, and Dana White constantly has to defend the UFC and be like, we don't believe that, blah, blah, blah. So it's a hard spot for Bellator. They may not agree with it. They may agree with it, but they don't want to take a political stance. I think they're taking the safe spot.
Yeah, I have to agree with you because, I interviewed Colby Covington from when he was an amateur all the way up until he had the incident in Brazil with Damian Amaya. And he was set to come on my show the following Tuesday after that fight, and I told him no. And he was a little dismayed because it was always, that circle, And, I told him no, and he asked me why. I said, well, because a third of my fan base is from Brazil, and you insulted the country. And, his mom hit me and asked me, well, will you let him talk about the Fabrizio Verdum incident? And I said, Noel, I'll be honest with you, I'll go ahead and let Colby on the show. So, I have to agree with your ideology. We put those people in that position, so at the same time, whether we agree with it or not, we still have right to freedom of expression and freedom of thought. So it's kind of like you said, it's a catch-22, bro.
Yeah, and exactly. I think Bellator is stuck in that awkward position of, well, crap, we don't want to promote one way or the other, because they want to stay neutral. They're just trying to put on fights. But at the same time, they have people from the public. This is what fighters are. They're everyday people. So I can see both sides of it, and I don't really even think it's about being right or wrong, but it is an agreeable scenario where we do give them that platform, so we do run the risk of, look, Brock Lesnar grabs the mic and says, I'm going to go home and have me a Coors Light, because Bud Light won't pay me shit, it's like...
No, actually he said Corona or something like that. Something like that.
He said something, so it's all the time organizations are always constantly shaking their head going, oh crap, why'd you do that? So yeah, it is risky. But at the same time, if they weren't on the TV, they would just be another face in the crowd, along with the other people screaming the same thing. And this isn't me saying I agree one way or the other, but it would be a more face in the crowd type thing where she's right there on TV at that moment in front of everyone. So they pick their battles. It's one of those times where people are picking their shots in their battles. And she knew she was on national TV, and she said, I'm going to do this. Now, Bellator might have turned around and said, hey, we're not putting you on TV anymore because we asked you not to do that. Bellator might have asked people before, hey, please don't express your politics on our platform. We ask that you not do that, because we want to be able to put on the platforms, and we run the risk of losing maybe a dealership with our TV sponsor because you wore a T-shirt that they don't agree with. That's a real risk that Bellator considers too, where they have to look and say, hey, could you not do that because you might blow our shot with Paramount. You might blow our deal with CBS. So there's lots of variables that they might have to consider when trying to play Switzerland too. It's a tough spot for Bellator.
Yeah. I got a question for both of you, if you don't mind. I know we're kind of glitching out here, but, you guys asked me about Blake the Beast. You asked me about Blake the Beast McCurran. What are your guys' thoughts on the main event? You look at it, at Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. Come on. Is it going to be a love fest between buddies, or are we going to get a true exhibition, or do you think it's going to be a watered-down version?
That's tough, because I've been pretty critical of De La Hoya taking a fight with, who was he going to take a fight with? And I was giving them both grief because of their age. So I don't know. I want to see the Tyson-Jones fight, but at the same time, I do understand that their age is a factor, so I don't think we'll get as exciting of a fight as everyone's hoping for. Tyson looks really, really good. But looking really, really good in training and stuff is different than looking really good in the ring. I don't know. I think we'll get a genuine fight. I don't think it'll be what we're hoping for, but I think we'll get a genuine fight. Rich?
You know what? I think it may start off as an exhibition, but you're talking about two men that have never held back in their life, whether it's behind the microphone, out in public, or with the boxing gloves on. And with Mike, you can call it whatever you want. Once it clicks on, it's on. You're not going to tell this man, I don't care what size gloves you have, to hold back. I don't think Mike Tyson's ever threw a jab in his life. You're going to see a Mike Tyson come to the middle of the ring, and you're going to see some flashes of the old Mike, especially of Roy Jones is able to land a counter left hook or what have you. Then it's on.
Spark him up.
It's on. You may see something happen in the first round because they could agree to it and say it's an exhibition, but when that light goes on, when you got a tiger and a monster, and he only knows one gear, you're not going to change gears in his life at this point in his life, exhibition or not.
Yeah. You know, I never thought he would come back. Look back when I shot James Quick Tillis against Mike Tyson, and James Quick Tillis was the first person to ever go the distance with Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
And and the man's a beast, but you look at the age perception and the thought perception, and I got to say, Mike Tyson, comparative to most of the boxers that came up in that era, he's got a little bit more, brains than I would expect from a boxer that has been in many wars as he has. And I think you're right, man. I don't think Mike can hold back. I think he's going to get hit, and I think Mike is just going to fire on because that's all Mike Tyson knows how to do, bro.
Yeah, and you may see him waste some energy because I don't see Roy Jones standing with him. I see Roy Jones using his legs, which is at one point were the best in boxing. But it is going to be a small ring from what I hear, and I think he's going to give the fans what they want, and that's two guys compete, even though they're in their 50s or late 40s, what have you. And Don, if they ask you to take a picture of something, you're going to give it your best. Even they said, oh, it doesn't mean nothing. You're going to say, no, the lighting's not right. The shade's not right. I got to make sure I get that best shot. So as a professional, win, lose, or draw, or retired or not, you're always going to give your best once your name is called.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I have to agree with you there because, you know what, we are our harshest critics, and we don't know how to do anything half-assed. I mean, and I don't see Mike Tyson going out there and just giving it a little bit. I think Roy's in for a bigger surprise than I think he's thinking. But it's going to be a tremendous event. I think, I don't know, man. I think Blake the Beast is going to give the main a run for its money. And that's because I'm a partial California boy, but, the 916 runs through my veins. People out here in the Midwest don't understand why I still claim California, but there's just something about Sacramento and the 916 and that lifestyle that, you just can't. Like they say, you could take the boy out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the boy. And,
that's right.
It's always been a part of my life. And, that's what's gotten me through this sport. I mean, let's face it, I've worked in a mob-ran business most of my life. The sport has cleaned up a lot in the last few years. But in the early days, I shot for the mob. I worked for the mafia. And you got to learn to be shrewd. You got to learn, to stand your ground. And, I'm probably one of the best contract writers in the sport because I've been burned so many times. But, you look at everything overall, where the sport has started and where it's ended up now. It's such a beautiful thing. And, getting the opportunity, we talk about, Oscar De La Hoya, he ran a little stint in MMA, getting the opportunity to be able to interview Chuck Liddell on his final fight with Tito Ortiz. A lot of people, you talk about media being cruel. Every bit of media said, I got Larry King sloppy seconds. Well, I will take Larry King sloppy seconds 7 days a week. That's one of the most legendary interviewers in the world. And people are laughing at me saying I got a sloppy seconds with Chuck Liddell. But, hey, I'll sit in that seat 7 days a week, bro.
Yes, sir.
Right?
No, that's a true legend. And you got to remember, when Tyson first served his prison term in Indiana, his first interview that he conducted was with Larry King, done in the MGM Grand. They actually conducted that interview inside of the ring before he fought Peter McNeely. I know because right after that, we had the privilege and honor, and I brought my mom down to meet Mike Tyson for the first time, and we also met Larry King, who was a very nice man, and Larry King is a living legend. I mean, enough said. So Don, tell me, man. I mean, so what exactly do you want to? I don't want to say pursue. What do you want to accomplish with your brand? I mean, because you're out there, you're grinding, and you're consistent. That's the main thing. Rain or shine, you're always on the air. You're always having guests, and there's always conversations that you have with your fighters. What are you pursuing? What is the goal for you? What do you want to hit? What's that home run? What's that pitch that you want to hit?
I just want to be able to, honestly, I don't know, man. It's kind of a hard question to ask because it's never been about me. Nothing I've ever done has ever been about me. It's always been about the sport and for the betterment of the sport or the fighter. But my main focus and goal right now is just to become the best at what I do. I'm still going to be going to events, and I'm going to do it on a media level now. But I would really like to really curtail my life into shooting jiu-jitsu seminars and doing private sessions with Rafael Lovato and some of the Gracies and different people. I just want to follow different paths and stay in the sport, but not necessarily work every weekend with a promotion, not put myself out there and not have to answer to a contract or anything. I just want to be able to give my main focus and intent on giving the fighters the biggest voice in the world, like you do.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, thank you, brother. Thank you. So, Cole, my man, what are we doing these days, man? I mean, you got your work, but you still got your hustle, man. You got these poker tournaments jumping off, man. Talk to us about how you're reinventing yourself, man, during this whole time. And you got your hustle going on, man. I could appreciate and respect that, Cole.
If it were the most legal thing too, I would love to. But I'm just going to go ahead and say that it is a venue that I've started to explore that is fun, and it still allows me to connect with my players and network with them and offer them a platform in which to enjoy poker on still without, all the precautions and worries of somebody sneezing on you right now or touching the chips that you have to keep touching. So I've got a couple different venues. You want to know, hit me up. That's the best I can say about it.
Hey, you never know, man. We may put on the Fighter's Voice tournament where you have some MMA poker players and some boxers that are poker
We've
players.
done that before.
And let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's have some
we did
fun.
it at the casino. Doug Marshall was on it. I think David Espinoza ran it up. Kid Dynamite ran it back in the day at our casino. I ran the tournament, but we had all kinds of fighters. I think Gnarly Charlie was there. It was fun. I remember people. Yeah, it was fun. We've done that before. That's not a bad idea.
No, right on, man. Exactly. Well, you know what, Don? I've already taken a lot of your time, man. But every time you talk, I don't even want to interrupt or anything, because I mean the knowledge that you have. You're definitely going to be coming back on the show, and we're going to make sure we don't have any technical difficulties, man, because we haven't even reached the pinnacle or even scratched the surface with your storytelling, man. I know you got so many that you have with Stitch. You got so many that you have with every fighter. You got so many that you have a story today that has happened. And to make that announcement, to trust us and to make that announcement on the show, I mean, it's very it makes me feel really good, man, to have a veteran on here who's been there, done that. And to be honest with you, I was a little nervous today. And but I said, you know what? I'm going to be myself as I always am. I mean, there's been a lot of shows, and Cole knows, hey, let's bring our A game because we have so-and-so on the show. But Cole just said, hey, let's just be us. And I took that advice, and yeah, I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Hey, hopefully next time I'll have that Emmy sitting right there, bro. I'm up for an Emmy nod. So okay. Hopefully next time I'll have that Emmy sitting right in the cabinet and the SP sitting right next to it, brother.
Hey, we're hoping that too, man. I mean, just to even be mentioned in that, I mean, that's wow. Yeah, you definitely paved the way, and you've earned everything that has come your way as far as it being rewarding. And I know you always put the fighter first, and you continue to do so. And the show's all about the fighter and giving them a platform. So I agree with you 100%. I mean, I've already been there, done that. You know, get the camera off me, put it on the brand, is what I always say. Put it on the fighter.
Most definitely, man. Keep doing what y'all doing. Cole, it was an honor and a privilege. Man.
Likewise, man. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all have a good night. God bless, and I appreciate you having me on the show, man.
No, right on, bro. If you're still listening, we'll send you that link as soon as we're done. Yeah. So, Cole, what do you think about tonight, with his last few minutes? About, we lost him. He came back. We had good conversation. We had good content. And we kept it real, and it just mixed in really well tonight.
Yeah, no, having Don on, it gave us a nice, it was a good story time, if that makes sense. Like, Don was able to give us some good insights, some really cool stories, things people didn't know. Like you said, he was able to trust us to give us some knowledge of something he's doing with his own personal life and his career. Aside from the technical difficulties, which were a pain in the butt, I think it was good.
Yeah.
It just takes some fine tuning. Like I said, man, it's got to be, I don't even think it's on his end. I think it's the smoke in the sky right now in California is just signals. They got to go through the air, but they still got to go through the air. If you have a physical blockage in the airway, you're going to mess up signals and stuff. So, I mean, even me, I was getting low signal for most of the evening. So, it's technical problems are a nightmare for everyone, man.
They are, man. We're going to be back next week, and we're working on the big name right here, and I'll go ahead and throw it out there so everybody knows. I'm getting Teofimo Lopez on the show. He'll be taking on Lomachenko, man, and that's going to be a big fight by Top Rank. It's next month, and that's going to be a barn burner. So he gave us a verbal agreement. We're just working out the time and the dates. So looking forward to that.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I was watching some photos and stuff from some boxing events that were actually talking about that. That looked like it was pretty cool. I saw, didn't he just have a fight?
Yeah. He leading up to this, he won his bout by knockout. So he's
exactly. They have undefeated in the ring, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I remember that. That's going to be pretty cool. I was looking forward to that because both those dudes look like they whip ass.
Oh man, it's going to be a lot of questions to be answered when they get into the ring, man. So
nice.
We're going to make that happen. All right, my man, I'm going to go and let you go. Appreciate you taking time out too, Cole. I'm actually looking at the picture KP is using. That's actually a pretty cool picture. That's like model status. And later on when you see the show, you're going to realize what picture he used.
I'll have to go on there and see the feed tonight and see what photo he used. I'm telling you, I can only imagine knowing KP and his vast resources, what he used.
Yeah, no, I like this. It's kind of cool, man. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, as always, it's a wrap here. The fighter's voice, the only voice that matters. Hey, the other half of the show, Mr. Cole ESCOVEDO, UFC veteran. We're here for you, the viewers, the fans, and the followers and the supporters, and we want to thank you right now. And it's a wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.
Thumbs up, baby.
Fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week. Always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, Cole ESCOVEDO, the special guests, and all the crew right here at the Kick-Ass Podcast, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.